Hi, I'm Linda Hutchins-Knowles, and I'm the co-founder of Mothers Out Front Silicon Valley, and I'm delighted to be with you tonight. I don't probably have to tell anybody here that the climate crisis is extremely severe. We're living it with the 13th atmospheric river coming through today, and the parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere are over 412, when the safe limit is 350.
You can share a video.
And I can share video. Okay. There we go. So, as I mentioned, we're feeling the climate impacts here in San Jose. The audience here in person, could you raise your hand if you've experienced extreme heat living here in San Jose? Have there been days where you've, okay, most everybody here. How about drought? Flooding? Anybody? Yeah, the Coyote Creek flood and others. Wildfires affecting our air quality. Stress on food crops. Anybody struggling with your garden getting too hot? Yes. And loss of trees. And there's also more disease. So there's a lot of climate impacts and they're hitting San Jose really hard. But the good news is there is hope. Here at the center of Silicon Valley, we've actually been part of creating some of the solutions to the climate crisis. Those include solar panels, wind, electric vehicles, and drawing down carbon naturally through the soil and vegetation. Also, a supermajority of the public wants climate action. This is an issue similar to gun control, where it crosses party lines. You can see here from this study from the Yale Program on Climate Communications that a supermajority of Americans want action on climate. They want policies passed for climate action. Mothers Out Front Silicon Valley is a local organization of mothers and allies that are mobilizing for a livable climate for all children. We're part of a national movement of mothers and allies that started a decade ago, and we are in many states across the country. We partner with other groups to enact really strong climate justice policies. In the photo here, you'll see us celebrating when San Jose became the largest city in the country to require that all the new construction of buildings be all electric without gas hookups. This was a very excellent decision for the climate because methane produced by burning gas is one of the biggest drivers of the climate crisis. Also, Mothers Out Front partners with Green Foothills and other people that are working to protect Coyote Valley, and we're very happy with the city's efforts to protect Coyote Valley. We keep equity at the center. We are seeing the change in the city in terms of taking equity seriously. When the presenters earlier from San Jose Clean Energy were talking, they were talking about maybe they could have rates for EV charging that take into account one's income and lower rates for lower income residents. That is an excellent way to center equity, and we do as well in our campaigns. We helped to stop the Charcot Overpass project. This was a project that was going to put more lanes of traffic next to a school in North San Jose called Orchard School. It's the only school in its district, this small little school that was there before this, and they tried to put this road past this big road expansion that would have threatened the lives of the children as well as created more pollution that they would breathe. And the local parents mobilized support and asked us to help, and we showed up and helped. And thanks to Councilmember Cohen's leadership, it's in his district, this was able to be stopped. It's a big victory for climate justice. We already talked about Reed Hillview Airport tonight. You live right next to Reedville, and it's terrible that the lead is affecting because there's no safe level of lead. And so some of the proponents of keeping it open say, oh, the studies aren't that conclusive, but there's no safe level and these airplanes are burning lead. This is unsafe. And also the crashes, the airplane crashes, it kills people. It killed that UPS driver. That was actually in a different area, but it kills people here too. So we've been helping on that. Mothers Out Front spoke at a press conference, and we are following the frontline leadership. So I don't live in District 5 myself, but we do have members that do, and we follow frontline leadership. So when the Latina Council of Silicon Valley asked us to support, we showed up. We've been getting some recognition. The first year that San Jose did Climate Smart Awards, we were one of the 2 organizations they recognized, and we were very honored. This is a picture of us there receiving our award as the Climate Smart Champion of the Year, along with Clean Energy Advocates, San Jose Clean Energy Advocates, because of our work together to promote and actually pass San Jose Clean Energy, who just spoke tonight. And we've had Youth Climate Champions, Climate Smart Community Champions. Huayan's here tonight. She was one of the winners. And one of our members, Stephanie, is a water conservation champion. And then Pam Foley and the city council gave us a lovely commendation. I was going to screen the video, but due to time, I'm going to pass on that, and I'll share the link with Juan, and maybe he could share it out. It's a sweet video, just giving you more about our group. But I'm going to pivot into our campaign, which is probably what you're most interested in. In 2023, our campaign is for gas-free homes, gas-free cities. And there's 3 components. We want to see the city support an equitable transition to electrified buildings. So as I mentioned, the new buildings are being built all electric, but most of the building stock in our city is old, it's existing buildings. And that's a much harder thing to do. And we were really happy that the city in June adopted the framework for electrifying buildings, and it has equity at its center. And we are here supporting that. I'm going to be on the new climate committee, I forget the name of it, CAB. I was invited to serve. I'm very honored to be on that, to really put equity at the center and make sure that residents can get electric appliances when their old ones die, the old gas ones. Sometimes there's a cost gap up front, but you will save the money over time because San Jose Clean Energy keeps their rates low. The cost of gas is exponentially increasing. So that's in the home. Then we also have a campaign to end San Jose's exemption for gas-powered fuel cells. I'll talk about that in a minute. This is really, really important, and it's an issue that's very wonky and not a lot of residents know about, but you'll hear about why it's important in just a minute. And then I'm going to say that we also are supporting the EV charging. And just until this month, I worked full-time for Actera, and Actera is a local organization that supports local solutions for the climate crisis. And the team I support there is the Carl Knapp Go EV program. And you can get a lot of information about EVs and discounts. In fact, a week from tonight, my colleague Irvin Rivero is going to be presenting on the financial incentives. So I'll share again a link to Juan. I don't have it with me tonight, but I'm working with the coalition called the EV Charging for All Coalition, and we are promoting equitable EV charging. So why are gas-free homes so important? Did you know that children growing up in homes with gas stoves have a 42% increased risk of asthma? Just think about that. 42% increased risk of asthma. This is a serious health issue that Mothers Out Front, Rocky Mountain Institute, Sierra Club, and another organization work together to document this pollution. So it's unhealthy to breathe it in. And it's also bad for the climate, as I mentioned, because it's mostly methane, which is very climate destabilizing. And so we are trying to support residents to switch to induction stoves or electric stoves. And electric stoves are not what you think, the old-fashioned kind of electric stoves with those really ugly burners that are really unresponsive. Induction stoves use magnets, and they're excellent. We put one in our house and we love it. And if you're not able to afford to put in the full stovetop, you can buy a simple induction hob for like about $50 and just plug it into an outlet on your counter and try to do some of your cooking on that instead of the gas to reduce that pollution in your home. In terms of the fuel cell exemption, what this is about is that when San Jose adopted the gas ban ordinance, a very last minute exemption was granted because of a local company that had insider connections, knew which lobbyists to hire, had a best friend who was friends with the mayor. It was really a disservice to our city that this was done. And we are working very hard to mobilize support to stop this exemption. It is unfair to let one company or other companies that make fuel cells sell their fuel cells for like big facilities like Sharks Ice, data centers. And when they use these fuel cells, they're bringing in gas right up to the fuel cell. It looks like that box, like an air conditioner unit. And inside there, it converts the gas into clean electricity, which goes into the building. And so companies like Bloom that build fuel cells claim that this is clean. But the methane that's powering the vast majority of them is not. It's climate destabilizing. The city's working really hard to electrify single family homes. And also, this is just an example, actually all homes, but it would take 1,265 homes switching off gas electricity in order to counteract just 1 megawatt system. And these are big megawatt systems. So I have posters, I'm not going to show them right now, but it's a very impactful thing. And this is something that needs to be shut down, but we need to make sure that the council members listen to us and not to Bloom's lobbyists. They will hire the right lobbyists, labor, or business, depending on the council member, and they know how to do that. Well, we are bringing the people power, and you are part of that. So we will be giving you opportunities to speak up so that we are listened to and they do the right thing for the climate, the right thing for our city. So the last thing I'll talk about is EV charging equity for apartment and condo residents. Oh, Wyan's bringing up pictures. Yeah, maybe at the end we can show the posters. But I want to validate what you said, Councilmember Ortiz, is that when you rent, it's a lot harder to access charging, right? You may not have parking where there's an outlet, okay? So working with Actera and with the EV Charging for All Coalition, Mothers Out Front is supporting their leadership on getting equitable charging. And the city is considering, and it was going to vote on it yesterday, a reach code that would have insisted or required that every single new apartment or condo built in the city would have to provide EV-ready charging for all their residents. Wouldn't that be equitable? That you could access it at your own home. Now, obviously, the existing buildings is again different, but we can't keep building parking lots that are not electrified for charging in homes because it costs 10 times more later to go rip the concrete up, put the wiring through. It's very inefficient. It's not smart. And the city was poised to adopt this. I want to give huge kudos to the Environmental Services Department team led by Julie Benavente and Viri on her staff, who have listened to stakeholders, they've listened to advocates, they put together a really powerful reach code that has a very wise component, which is direct wiring from your outlet where you plug in your EV to your meter or panel in your apartment. If you have that direct wiring, then you can get the rates that San Jose Clean Energy charges, those low rates. But if you don't, then the apartment manager brings in a third-party service provider. They charge a markup fee, and it actually costs more to charge at home through that monopoly because they choose everybody in that apartment complex has to go through that company. It's extremely inequitable, but most people don't understand that. And so the cheapest place to charge is at home when you can use your utilities time of use rates. And if you have to go to public charging, that's more expensive. And then up at your own apartment complex with a third-party provider is the highest. But the developers just spoke up. They met with the mayor, they met with council members, and they said, oh, we don't like this direct wiring component. It's going to cost too much. It doesn't actually cost that much when you do it at the time of construction. It's a fraction of the cost. And if the city caves into the builders, what they're saying is, we care more about their profits than we do about the renter's ability to access the cheapest electricity to power their EVs, which they will need to have within at least the next decade and hopefully sooner. So this is why this is such an important issue. And I'm so proud of the EV Charging for All Coalition, which is leading on this issue. And Actera and Plug in America are supporting and sponsoring this coalition. And Mothers Out Front is one of the supporters. So how can you help? There's 3 ways. We would love you to email the San Jose City Council and demand equitable EV charging. We will be providing a sample for that coming out soon. And the issue is scheduled to be voted on April 25th, which is a Tuesday. It's probably going to be around agenda item 6.1, which is not going to be heard till kind of the late afternoon. So what you can do is if you want to speak, you can give us your cell phone number and we create a little group text that's just for that purpose. And we tell you, okay, we're on agenda 5, get ready. Now we're on agenda 6, listening to the staff presenting, and now raise your hand, go. So you don't have to sit there for hours and hours waiting till this agenda cut. We want to make it easy for you, but we need your voices because the developers, they have the connections, right? So we need the people to show up. And in person as well, we're going to be coming in person, bringing our posters, bringing our voices. So please join us whether online or in person. And finally, we have a letter to Mayor Matt Mahan. We would love you to sign. As you probably know, Mayor Matt Mahan has focused on 3 priorities, and they are important. They are blight, crime, and homelessness. Mothers Out Front believes that the climate crisis is a priority equal to those because, as Henry David Thoreau said, what's the use of a home if you haven't got a tolerable planet to put it on? And so we need homes. It is a crisis. But we also need a livable climate. And what's called the IPCC, it's the UN body that studies the climate crisis, just rang the alarm bells again on Monday with dire, dire warnings. We are destabilizing the planet the climate on which all life depends. So we believe Mayor Mahan should publicly use his leadership role to say this is a priority. So we've written him a letter, and it talks about why this is important to our city. And we would love you to sign it. It says 30 signatures. That was earlier today. Today I spoke to another group that are going to sign, and we would love everybody here. If you could pull out your phones, if you have phones that can connect, and go to bit.ly Mahan sign letter. And everybody online, if you could do the same, let's see if we can go from 30 where it was this morning to over 100 signatures to Mayor Mahan. Is it not covered? What am I covering it with my thank you. I'm technical assistant. Okay. So again, it's bit.ly/Mahan sign letter, no caps. Thank you. And so that's the end of my presentation. I want to thank you for coming and listening tonight, and I'm available to answer questions both in the room and online. So I'll stand by for the questions.
Okay, I have a question. How are you going to prove about the rates right now, going to the city of San Jose Clean Energy, getting better rates than the one we had before? Because, you know, our bills right now for the clean energy is terrible.
So I want to, can I clarify that San Jose Clean Energy's rates are lower than PG&E?
Yeah.
They are lower.
What I'm saying, how are you guys going to verify is lower than the one for the PG&E?
I think that's a question for San Jose Clean Energy.
Yeah, why don't you take that? Yeah, that's for Amanda. Yeah, I think.
Could you go to the presenter?
Want to come up here? Okay.
You don't have time, I can answer the question after the meeting.
No, I think it's a good question.
Everybody can hear.
So your question was, what is San Jose Clean Energy doing to make sure rates are affordable? As you know, the cost of energy has just been increasing.
Yeah.
So a couple things. This last winter, you know, a lot of our energy bills spiked because of how cold it was and how expensive gas was. And so a lot of us, me included, were pretty surprised when we got our January and February bills. The state is also really concerned with how expensive those gas prices were, and they are investigating, you know, kind of what went into that and figuring out, you know, do people need some money back on their bill? This last energy bill, you should have gotten a climate credit that lowered it. If you haven't yet, it'll come on your next bill.
For March or April?
Like end of March, early April.
Yeah, because I just got my March and February, January was.
And you didn't have that credit?
Crazy.
Okay, your next bill will have that credit. It'll help a lot. Just to give some perspective, my bill is usually like 120. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, and my bill this last month was $12 because of that credit. So that credit is on the way, and that's from the state of California. They sped up when we get that credit so it can help with some of those high bills. And then San Jose Clean Energy, we set our rates on an annual basis. All of our rates are approved by City Council. So we can't, you know, jack up prices without, you know, council approval. It's a really public process where, you know, the public is invited to comment and, you know, share your concerns about electricity bills. We're cost of service based, which means we're only going to charge you what it costs to give you the energy that we provide. And we're signing contracts for new renewable energy, and those contracts are over time, and that's what's going to help us bill you affordable, stable rates. And so we're not going to increase the rates as much as PG&E does.
Yeah, because I was talking to her in the beginning when they started separate the bill with City of San Jose Clean Energy. I remember it was $30–40. Now, just for the clean energy, I pay more money than one I used to pay all together. $160 was for the clean energy with City of San Jose, the last 3 bills.
Yeah, we can, I'll give you my card. We can take a look at your bill together, and we can see what's going on and maybe find some ways for you to save some money. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's open to anybody. If you need any help on your bill, me and my team are available to help answer any questions, investigate, get to the bottom of those high charges.